Okay, right. For the third exception is a marriage contract. So in this exception, also the law under the Contract Act give a little bit relax. Okay, yeah, in terms of minus. Minus means that those person under the age of majority, right? They are allowed to enter into a marriage contract. In other words, they can marry lah, uh, before the age of 18, before age of 18, right? So it was decided in the case of Rajeswari and another versus Balakrishnan and others. So another ANOR stands for another, whereas ORS stand for others. 1958 indicates the year of that decision was made. So in this case, it was held that a contract to marry is valid and enforceable even if the parties involved were minors. However, under the section 10, and this is for non-Muslim, section 10 of Law Reform, Marriage and Divorce 1976, it states that this is the present law whereby both the bride and the groom must attain the age of 18 years, meaning to say it must be adult, right? But for female, this is only for female. They can actually marry under the 18, but must be 16 years old. Provided that the female must get the permission of the chief minister in order to get married. So for male is 18 years. Okay, generally for male and female is 18 years, but in the event that the female is below 18 but 16, right, they can get married, provided that they must get the permission from the chief minister. Okay. Okay. The fourth exception is regarding the insurance contract. Okay. So this is provided under the Insurance Act 1996. It said that section 153 that a child of 10 years and above is allowed to sign a life insurance contract for himself or upon another life in which he has an insurable interest. However, if a child is below 16 years old, he needs to get a written consent from his parent or guardian. Okay, a child above 16 years old can enter into such contract without having to get his parents or guardian's consent. So all in all, a child or minors below 18, they can enter into an insurance contract. So insurance contract might be a life insurance, it can be a medical insurance, right? And it can be a insurance of a motor insurance, right? Motor car insurance. Okay, I think it's clear. The last, it has to be E, apprenticeship contract, apprenticeship contract. So under section 13 of the Children and Young Persons Employment Act, CT6 provide that a minor can enter into a contract of apprenticeship or services. Okay, the Act defines a child as any person below the age of 14, while a young person is one between the age of 14 and 16. So in other words, under the contract of apprenticeship or under contract of employment, right, as far as the law is concerned, it permits a young person, a minor, right, below 18 years old to enter into an employment contract or apprenticeship lah, whatever it's called. Right. Okay, this is the case of Tan Hee Chuan versus Tan Boon Kit 1934, right? The case is actually the principle of the case is actually the effect of a contract entered into by a minor. This is the effect. Whereby the court actually has a discretion whether or not to refund, meaning to refund the purchase price paid by the adults to the minor. So in this case, it's about a minor executed to transfer of land, received the purchase money to receive land, and obviously the minor has received the land, has received the price of the land, and the court held that the transfer was void and the minor allowed to get the return of his land, right? And the court denied the buyer's claim for refund of the purchase money. So this is what according to section 66, right? So in this case, one principle is that when the contract is entered into by a minor, it's a void contract. Okay, that's one issue, right? So what is the effect of the void contract, right? The money that being transferred should be a refund to the parties concerned, should be reimbursed. I call it reimbursed. But anyhow, the court under this is section 16 has, and the section 40 of the Specific Relief Act, the court has the discretion whether or not to require that the benefit be restored or to make compensation. Again, in generally, yes, when the court decides that the contract is void, then any money transferred should be refunded, should be reimbursed. But anyhow, the law also specifies that it is solely discretion of the court. Okay, solely discretion of the court whether or not to require that money to be restored. So in other words, if the money has been transferred, it's a discretion of the court whether or not to refund that money to the original purchaser right, or any buyer or purchaser. So that is the legal repercussion of a contract entered by a minor. So be careful when you are dealing with the minor. So I advise you to be careful to check, whether a person is a young person or is a adult enough to to enter, sufficient enough to enter into a valid contract. So make sure it's 18 years old and above, to be safe. Right. Okay, the second element of capacity is sound mind. Sound mind. Sound mind means normal person normal man. Okay, so under section 12 of the Contract Act, 1950, it requires that a person who is usually of unsound mind but occasionally of sound mind may make a contract when he is of sound mind. So this section 12 tells us whereby, right, a contract is valid when a person is sound mind. When there are two situations, sometimes a person is sound and sometimes is not, occasionally is not, right? So the law actually you know can actually declare that a contract is valid when a person is sound mind. When it's normal, is valid. When occasionally is not normal, then it's not valid. So the problem is how to, to prove that a person is sound mind at the time of the contract is entered into. So it is the burden of proof is actually on the person who claim that is either that person is sound mind or unsound mind. So depends. If you as a, for example, as a plaintiff, you claim that that if that person is sound mind, and then you want to claim that benefit for that, then you have to claim that the defendant is a sound mind, right? Okay, so if the defendant feel that the contract is not favor on him, so he has to prove that he is unsound at the time of a contract is being made. So it's either one. It's either one. So there is an illustration under section 12A. When a person who is usually of sound mind but occasionally of unsound mind may not make a contract when he is of unsound mind. So this is the effect of a contract being made for unsound mind but occasionally answer for unsound mind, occasional unsound mind. Right. Okay, this is the effect. Right, any contract signed versus unsound mind is a voidable contract. It means that the said contract can be made void at the time of person of unsound by proving certain condition to the court. Okay, so it says that voidable means is a person who claim that the contract is whether either valid or not valid, so he has to claim if you feel that you are in favor of the contract to be valid, then you have to prove that the other person is sound mind. Okay. Okay, the third element under the capacity is not disqualified. Okay, not disqualified under section 11 of the Contract Act. It states that the parties to the contract must not be disqualified from any contract from contracting any bylaws. Meaning to say that person apart from minor or unsound mind, right? That person must not be denied by the law to enter into a contract. So certain laws do actually bar a particular person to enter into a valid contract, right? And also section 11 makes further explanation that the capacity also affected when the party is denied by existing law from entering into contract. For instance, if a person is declared bankruptcy, okay, this is very normal, whereby under the Insolvency Act, that a person who is declared as a bankrupt, he is actually he cannot do what the normal person can do. For example, enter into a contract of buying or selling house, selling property, right? Uh, but he can actually buy some groceries lah, of course. But in terms of making a contract, like normal person, he can't do so because it involve, especially when involve a loan, when involve a loan. But for normal contract, like just buying necessaries, buying groceries, buying clothes, it can be it is permissible. But for type of contract which is something which is complicated, like giving a loan, facilities loan, and buying and selling properties, especially real properties, then the law actually under the Insolvency Act make a disqualification, disqualified that person to enter into a contract. Okay, number 5, element of a valid contract is certainty. Certainty. So it's provided under section 30, where it says the agreement, the meaning of which is not certain or capable of being made certain, are void. So very clear. So reason for the certainty, for example, language may be too vague, right? Failure to reach agreement on vital or fundamental term of the agreement. For example, like Ahmad wants to sell his house for 100k or 200k. So which one? So this also make that the language itself, the term of the language, the term of the contract must be certain, must be unequivocal, must be clear. If there is a vague on that terms, so the court may declare that the contract is void. Right.